couldn't even turn to my local church. It seemed like the whole world was involved in mind control. And it seemed especially strong to me because Muskegon, Michigan was some kind of a social engineering testing ground for mind control, not only from the Catholic end, but also because the government was sanctioning child abuse, to the extent where Muskegon, Michigan is now recognized by Muskegon itself, which they've put in their own newspapers as well, as being the pedophile capital of the United States. There are more pedophiles per capita in Muskegon, Michigan than other places in the United States. So to me it seemed like this was the way the world was. And even though that seemed like the way the world was, it was still devastating to me. For whatever reason, I didn't inherit that multi-generational acceptance of such abuse. It was horrific to me. It seemed to me there should be some place in the world where people didn't abuse each other, where people just loved each other and took care of each other. I had strong hopes of that until I began losing my ability to critically analyze and to think for myself through MKUltra mind control. I was exposed to very deliberate means to further dissociate me from any ability to think for myself. The kind of compartmentalization that I had in my brain had become so strong that I was operating on a subconscious level through these different compartments with no continuity of thought bridging between them. I had no conscious awareness. I had no ability to reason and to remember where I had even been just a few minutes before. There was no concept of time. There was no ability to connect any of the events that were happening when they would switch through those various compartments. By not having a conscious mind to critically analyze and think things through, my subconscious mind was left wide open to be manipulated and programmed by those who were deliberately perpetuating MKUltra mind control. My father was not a main controller. He was simply my handler. And as my handler back then, he was simply following directions where to take me for programming and the various abuses that I was exposed to. He'd been instructed to take me to Mackinac Island, Michigan, which is just right there between the U.S. and Canadian borders, where the Michigan governor's mansion was located. The governor at that time was George Romney, and he was very much interested in mind control. He wanted to take the information, he was particularly interested in the occult or the religious kind of mind control. And he was bringing it into the Mormon church, which was just gaining ground at that time and just really coming on strong, because he believed that mind control on a stronger level than what the Catholics had learned, but all of the information combined along with technology would create a stronger form of mind control within the Mormon church. Ultimately, that it has increased tremendously, not only in the Mormon church and the Catholic church. There's numerous churches that are involved through various religions. But within the Mormon church, there are more recruits for U.S. intelligence than any other aspect. It's a prime conditioning ground for creating robotic compliance where there's no critical analysis, no questioning, no thought to what's going on, but only an ability to follow orders and do as told. The mind control that I was exposed to was rooted in the sexual abuse that I had, which meant that in later years I would be used to carry out sexual favors while delivering messages to and from various government leaders and for different criminal covert operations that I was used in, primarily during the Reagan-Bush administration. But at that time, I was still just a young child. My mind was being formed. And in Mackinac Island, Michigan, it was the first time that I met Pierre Trudeau. Pierre Trudeau was also actively involved in mind control. He and George Romney were sharing the information not only on the kind of cult mind control that went on in the church, since Trudeau is a professed Jesuit and Romney was a Mormon. They had a lot that they wanted to share in that area of mind manipulation, but they were also both very much interested in the education system. And I know from experience throughout my mind control victimization that Canada has been subjected to much manipulation through the school systems, as well as it has been in the United States. But George Romney was heavily involved in bringing in what was a precursor to the global education program that has dominated pretty much the globe entirely. It was in Mackinac Island, Michigan, where I also met who had become my owner in MKULTRA Mind Control, U.S. Senator Robert C. Byrd. Robert C. Byrd has been in U.S. Congress as long as I've been alive. He's the head of the Senate Appropriations Committee in the United States, which means he decides where money's going to be spent and how. And that money was being used to perpetuate this New World Order agenda, or the mind control of the population globally. He's very much interested in that particular agenda, and it's one that he was following and has for years and years. He's still in political office today. The local politician that had originally come out and granted my father immunity from prosecution continued further in his political career until he became the unelected president of the United States. That's Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford was, as his political career escalated, so too did my victimization in MKUltra Mind Control. It's interesting to note that in Gerald Ford's cabinet, he had Dick Cheney as his Secretary of State, Donald Rumsfeld as his Secretary of Defense, George Bush Sr. as the head of the CIA. We keep seeing the same handful of people over and over again who've been at this political top of this agenda for a long, long, long time. And it's time that people wake up and realize that they have no right to be manipulating us. They've only been manipulating us through the suppression of these pertinent facts on mind control that we all have a right to know. They've been manipulating us through the controlled medias that are corporately owned in order to perpetuate their oil interests, which ultimately is a significant destruction environmentally on our planet. It's inexcusable that we leave these people in power. In the United States, these people were not the least, it was my experience on the White House Pentagon level, that they are not the least bit concerned about elections because elections are rigged. I really don't know of any place in the world where elections aren't being manipulated. In the United States, we have electronic voting, which is absolutely absurd. All they got to do is computerize the results. And when Bush Jr. was selected and put into office, it was even released 24 hours ahead of time that he had won the presidency through one of the major medias in the United States. Because